Okay, cool.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Fan Connection podcast. I'm sorry for the delay for all those in Twitch chat. I finished work at like 5:10, 5:11. I was like, oh God, I gotta take a quick shower. So I ran, I showered, shaved, everything I had to do for the show. And then I realized my timer was off. So my timer went off when the show was supposed to start. But the timer on my phone went off at the same time. But I gave myself a 2-minute warning, but I guess it didn't work. I don't know. So anyway, we're back in another episode. We have a lot to talk about today. I pulled up quite a few topics on my phone ahead of time. I was doing some research today during my lunch break. And there is a lot going on in the hockey world right now. And I think the biggest news that needs to be addressed, as everyone expects, the Seattle Kraken defeat the I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No one cares about that game. Montreal Canadiens lose to Seattle. No one really gives a crap about that game. We're talking about
I care about the goal that was scored, the own goal.
the own
Who was it
goal.
by? Yeah, who was it by again?
Did
Larson?
Montembeault score on himself?
Oh, Montembeault, but Larson also scored on himself to tie the game. So we don't need to get into it. 2 self goals.
Right.
But the biggest news, I think, despite the 2 trades happening with Colorado, I think the biggest news is Auston Matthews suspended for 2 games for his cross-check to the neck of Rasmus Dahlin. Now, that is a dirty cross-check if I've ever seen one. I don't know if you guys all saw it during the outdoor game against Buffalo. Basically, Dahlin was roughing him up in front of the net. Yes, you could probably argue interference. I agree with you on that. But that doesn't give you the right to cross-check a guy in the neck. So, Auston Matthews suspended 2 games. Makes a lot of sense to me as well, Berta. I see you in chat. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Matthews suspended 2 games. I'm glad they're setting the precedent. The only issue I have with it is this. There's a lot of other incidences they could have suspended for the same amount of time that were similar to this. Now, I saw people showing the Huberdeau thing and something else, but I mean, Huberdeau goes in with his fist, not his stick, so it's different. What do you guys think of the suspension, Ponch and Berto? What do you guys think?
I think it makes sense. He's not a repeat offender, and he also wasn't the aggressor. I think his retaliation was harder than what Dahlin did, but granted though, if Matthews had hit him in the shoulder, I don't think we'd be talking about this.
I agree, yeah. I was just typing to Kev Player as well, because Kev Player was saying he was aiming for the shoulder, and I agree that's probably what he was doing, but at the end of the day, like, it was a heated moment and things were happening, and you saw Rasmus Dahlin say it as well in his little press conference interview after the game, and he was saying it was just a heated moment, it happens, and it seems like he wasn't super mad at him, because he knows too, like, he was heated as well. He, I guess, initiated the whole thing, right? Like, he was just doing his defenseman duties, and but at the end of the day, though, right, you still gotta be in control of yourself and in control of what you do. Just because you don't mean to do something doesn't mean it's you go unpunishable, right? So, I think it's a fair 2-game suspension. Like you said, he's not a repeat offender or anything. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll be more careful next time, right? So, yeah, what do you think, Mike?
So yeah, I think Matthews deserved a suspension. I wish the league would be more like this in the rest of their readings. You know, you saw a knee-on-knee from Marcus Foligno on Voracek. Voracek's knee is basically backwards after the hit. I don't know the proper term at the moment, but I read it on Twitter, the proper term for it. Basically, like, he kneed him, like, straight up a knee, and no suspension, just a simple fine. So I wish the league would be a bit more transparent and a bit more consistent with its rulings, but I have to give them credit. The DOPS, the Department of Player Safety, did absolutely everything right here. They nailed it, a 2-game suspension. They didn't ease up because it was Matthews, or they didn't go too hard because it was Matthews. Like, they could have gone either way. You know, they could have eased up because he's a star, or they could have been too harsh on him because they wanted to prove a point. So I think they made the right call here. A 2-game suspension is very fair for what Auston Matthews did, and yeah, I think we should move on though. I think everyone in the media said what they wanted, and I just wanted to address it because it's big news, and I think we all agree that the DOPS, despite what a lot of Toronto fans are saying, absolutely got this right. So let's move on. So in other news, the Colorado Avalanche have made 2 trades So I don't know what Joe Sakic decided to do. I don't know what kind of coffee he's drinking in the morning, but he decided to get active early in the deadline talks. So he moves. He makes a big move here to acquire Josh Manson. So basically, the Colorado Avalanche send Drew Hellison, who's a defensive prospect from the NCAA. I think he's 20 or 21 years old. Just signed his entry level deal with the Anaheim Ducks, and a 2023 second round pick. So not this year, but next year, because Anaheim believes that draft is better. So Colorado sends them next year's second. And then Colorado receives Josh Manson, half retained. So it's only around a 2-point-something million cap hit. I think it's a win for both teams. I think Colorado gets a depth guy who's solid in their own end, and he provides some physicality for them, which I think they've needed on their blue line. And the Ducks receive futures. They receive Hellison, who they hope will be better than Manson in the future. And they receive a second-round pick that could turn into Manson, too. So the Ducks, I think, are good for the future. But I think Colorado, who's in a win-now mode, also win that deal. I think it's a very fair trade. So what do you guys think of the deal?
Yeah, the Ducks are going to be sellers. I was surprised, actually, that they didn't go for Hampus Lindholm. I really like Lindholm, and I think if the Ducks had retained salary, that they could have gotten a bigger haul from Colorado. But I think Manson, Lindholm, even Shattenkirk wouldn't be a bad addition to whatever team they go to.
Right. Sorry, I agree, and I think that Colorado didn't need too much, like we just kind of mentioned many podcasts in a row, or just many times we've talked about playoff teams. They don't really need too much, but they do need just extra depth, maybe, because you never know in the playoffs, especially when it comes to injuries and all that. And it's a good pickup for them. They didn't give up much that they really need anyway. They still have their top prospects. They still have their top young players. So good trade for them.
For sure. And I think just to address, Ponchi, what you're saying with Lindholm or Shattenkirk, I think for the Lindholm thing, I do believe that Colorado really wanted to solidify their right-hand side. So they already have Devon Taves, who's left-handed. They have Kale McCarr on the right side, but they want some below him, right? So they already have Devon Taves, Sam Girard, and Bowen Byram. Now, Bowen Byram is injured. Sam Girard's injured. But going to the playoffs, they're going to be healthy, so they'll have those three guys on the left. And on the right, they had Kale McCarr and Eric Johnson. Then who else, right? So I think the idea is that by bringing in Josh Manson, they really solidify the right-hand side. They get something they don't have. Like, Kevin Shattenkirk's a good offensive defenseman at this point in his career. He's not known for his defensive prowess, especially now. So I think if they acquired him, they're just getting more of the same of what they had. Whereas with Josh Manson, they're getting someone who provides physicality, plays the right side. He does have some good micro metrics, according to JFresh. But like I said, he does provide that physicality. He's by far the most physical defenseman available right now, other than maybe Ben Chiarot, as was said on TSN as well. So this is definitely a win for them, for either team. Honestly, I think it's a very fair trade. Like, there's no clear winner, at least not yet. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this plays out. Colorado with Gabriel Landeskog on IR, it frees up a ton of cap space. You know, they haven't
Gerard as well, right?
Yeah, Gerard's on IR, but they also put
Yeah.
Landeskog is going for surgery. They haven't placed him on IR yet, so they're just trying to build up as much cap space as they can using LTIR. So look for Colorado to make another big move. I know they already made another trade, which we'll get into in a second, but and with that other trade, they free up even more cap space. So look for them to make a big splash. Yeah, of course, it's going to be back for the playoffs. It's Tampa Bay all over again. Everyone knows it's how you have to win nowadays. So look for Colorado to make some more moves here, aka Claude Giroux. It's going to be exciting. So just to quickly address the next trades, the Colorado Avalanche also trade Tyson Jost 1-for-1 to Nico Sturm. Now, at first, I was like, oh, slam dunk for Minnesota. Tyson Jost is young. He's got good potential. Not so much anymore. He seems to have stagnated in his career. But, guys, what do you think of that trade? Nico Sturm straight up for Tyson Jost. And keep in mind, the Colorado Avalanche, with that trade, free up about $1.2 million this year and next year in cap space.
I think that, well, just from just a player standpoint, I think that Jost has potential, of course, and he can definitely play higher in the lineup on Minnesota than he would play on Colorado. I mean, he has probably more talented players to play with in Colorado, but at the end of the day, you still have your big guys playing with your big guys. Like you have McKinnon playing with Landeskog, and you have Kadri playing with Rantanen. It's interchangeable, right? Like at the end of the day, it's interchangeable. But Jost, I mean, we've seen what happened with Ryan Hartman this year, and no one thought much of Ryan Hartman before that. And so, if Jost plays in a similar type of role as that, you might actually thrive. Nico Sturm, I don't know too much about. I know he's like, I know he has good energy, and I know that he could be a good, maybe a good third line guy, but I mean, other than that, I don't know too much about him. But then again, that goes back to a conversation about Colorado and their depth, and that's probably just all they need because you're not really looking for another big star. Obviously, that could help, and they actually might go for one and the trade deadline, like you said, aka Claude Giroux, which could be the case. But yeah, like right now, I just think they need good third, good fourth line guys, good bottom pairing guys, just to like round out their team fully, and then I think they're good to go.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. Like they're just trying to finish up their depth. I think they will make a big splash for one more guy to solidify their high end scoring and their face-offs. I've heard Colorado's been pretty bad. I think they're almost last in the face-off dot. So once again, look for a guy like Claude Giroux. Or, for example, Nico Sturm, who just came in. He's above a 50%, so that's going to help them as well. But look for a guy like Claude Giroux to come in. He's got great face-offs throughout his career. He's known for being good on the draw. So look for a guy like Claude Giroux coming in. He can play wing, can play center. He's very dynamic. Put him with a guy like McKinnon. Put him with a guy with Rantanen. Put him with a guy with Landeskog, Kadri. Like, go like down that list, man. And that's a team that it's a wagon if they manage to get another star like that. And just to quickly address the Nico Sturm and Tyson Jost trade. So Nico Sturm, he's playing some limited minutes. Okay, this is according to JFresh's player cards. This is advanced analytics stuff. But he plays about fourth line minutes. He makes $700K for this year. So that's a pretty cheap contract, saves him money. But he's got a projected win above replacement of 75%. Like that's pretty solid. Obviously, his competition's very low and his teammates are also very low in terms of the quality, but all his numbers show a very solid NHL player. So this means that Nico Sturm honestly comes into Colorado and looks like he's going to solidify their team. Because if you look at who Colorado gave up in Tyson Jost, yes, he's younger, but he has a higher cap hit. His projected WAR, so win above replacement, is only a 36%. So that's not great. There's a lot of other guys who could do his role better. Yeah, he's only 23, but he makes $2 million for the next 2 seasons, so this one and next year. So that saves Colorado cap space. He was playing fourth line anyway, so they just free up cap. They get a guy who's more effective in that role, and quite frankly, I think Tyson Jost had kind of ran his course. I don't think Bednar's a huge fan of him, the coach in Colorado, and I think it was just time. I think he had ran his course there. He needs a change of scenery. So Joe Sakic doing the player a bit of a favor. We do know that Minnesota needs more centers because right now Ryan Hartman's the first line center, and that's not ideal. So maybe Jost will get more of an opportunity there because he is a skilled guy. So maybe he slots in the top 6. Maybe they give him time with their superstar there to give him a chance to play and see what he's made of with Kaprizov and Zuccarello. Maybe he flourishes. So this is a low risk trade for Minnesota, but also a smart move for Colorado, looking to make some more changes at the deadline, freeing up some cap space. So, chat, let us know what you think as well. But if anybody wants to add anything on before we move on, let me know.
I was just gonna shout out Cinema Talent here in the chat. Was saying Nico Sturm was really good in the playoffs for the Wild, and I guess that just goes to both of our points. I guess about just depth, and again, like I don't know why I keep bringing it up, but maybe because it's so important in the playoffs. But yeah, just depth players can get you through things, right? You need that extra goal, or you just need that energy shift that leads to another goal. It happens a lot, and you need it, right? So I personally haven't seen him play in the playoffs, but we're gonna see this year now. So we'll see, and hopefully we can look back at your comment here and be like, this guy's a genius. What if he just scores like a winning round goal or something like that, and we go back to Cinema's little message here, and we're like, oh, this guy called it.
It would be nice. I'm down to see Colorado in the Cup final because it would make for a very, very fun Cup final. That's a really skilled team with a really fun dynamic. No offense to the Calgary Punch, but I think I'd rather see an open ice game than the Daryl Sutter style, if I'm being honest with you. You guys down
the
to...
chat doesn't, yeah, but we're not down to move on. But the chat doesn't believe in Colorado here, man.
I know, I'm seeing a lot of second round exits here. I don't know, guys. It doesn't make sense to you that you think they're going to be out in the second round. Like, look at their team; they're so good. The only flaw I have for them is their goaltending. Like, I don't trust Franzuz and Kemper very much. I would have said Kemper last year, but this year, after his performance, he's been very off and on. I don't know.
The only reason why I kind of agree with the chat is just because we always talk up specific teams, with the exception of Tampa Bay, of like being some juggernaut team that should be in the finals, and then something happens and they just don't get in the finals. Like I don't see a logical way why they won't be in the finals, but who knows, right? Like you never know.
Yeah.
You could have a Carey Price come in and just do something again. So
Yeah.
or they didn't even lose the Price actually. They lost to Vegas.
They lost to Vegas. And
yeah,
granted though, Vegas is, because of the divisions last year, you had two really good teams playing each other right
really
away.
early.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you had Montreal, Winnipeg on the other side.
Hey, yo, Montreal beat Vegas. So what's that saying about Colorado? Eh?
I still think it's a failure for Colorado. Like everyone was talking about how McKinnon. People were making arguments how he's better than McDavid, right? Like I remember like that year. I think it was last year, right? Yeah, it was last year when people were just everyone was going off on McKinnon's season, saying how great of a player he is and how he's gonna be more effective in the playoffs. And then you get to
he was. But
he obviously was, right? And then, but I just remember in the Colorado series, like he did play really good, but they just ended up losing to Vegas, who's first line center. I mean, he's better now, but Chandler Stevenson is a little bit of a mismatch if in the way that we were talking about McKinnon, right? So that's
yep.
That's not
Chandler
a good look.
Stevens.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at
McKinnon.
playoff success, it's almost always the team that's well rounded. It's never the team.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
star-studded.
Yeah,
but the difference is this year. I think Colorado's learned their lesson, so they're going to be star studded and well rounded.
Yeah,
they
that's
acquire
true.
a guy like Giroux, dude. Like that's a stacked lineup. Like you already have Nishushkin, you have Burakovsky, you have Kadri, Landeskog. Throw in obviously McKinnon and Rantanen. Throw in Giroux in there, like.
Okay, you got to stop throwing in Giroux. What if they don't get Giroux? Then
I'm just saying it. I say if. I said if they get Giroux. I said throw that guy in there. That's looking really good. It's looking like it's going to be done right.
Crosby to the Avs.
Yeah, Crosby to the Avs too. Him and they can make more commercials, more Tim Hortons commercials. Okay, real quick before we actually move on properly, it's Candy99 says Matthews over McKinnon. Real quick points. I want to hear what you guys think.
No.
Personally,
no way.
Personally,
don't say yes.
I would pick Matthews. I'd pick him over McKinnon.
Matthews. No, why would you say that? McKinnon makes anybody he plays with so much better. I just Remember
that chart I showed you about the goals per game thing?
Yep.
Well, I can pull it up again if you like, but best goals per game seasons the past 25 years. Matthews is in it one. He's first on the list. He's third on the list.
Yeah. Matthews is the goals guy, but I'm saying McKinnon's the goals and assists guy.
But that's like he's in it more. He's in it the same amount of times as Ovechkin in the past 25 years. Ovechkin's the best scorer of all time.
No, I'm saying McKinnon. Okay, I think McKinnon's I think McKinnon's a better player. I do.
He's a better skater.
I like Matthews though. I have him for my heart race right now because Matthews is on a better season. But if I had to go into the depths of the playoffs, I'm taking McKinnon.
Okay. All right. Well, let's not get too caught
up.
I wanted to hear what you guys said.
I'm not a fan of Matthews's. Matthews is character, so I'm taking McKinnon.
Okay.
Bro, he lost his shit over Rasmus Dahlin. Like, come on. I'm sorry. Like, dude, they're losing.
McKinnon threw a helmet at Garland.
So I don't care. At least he didn't crush a guy in the face.
What do you mean?
The helmet barely did anything to the guy.
Okay, that was still pretty outrageous. It just looked so funny. It was funny.
I'm not tripping at all. Candy say I'm tripping, dude. I love McKinnon. I love McKinnon's attitude. He's a great teammate. I'm not sure. I love Matthews as a player. He's a great player, but I don't like his attitude. I just don't. There's something about his attitude. I just don't like it. So if I had to take a guy on my playoff team to help me lead down a playoff run, I'm taking McKinnon every time.
All right, let's move on.
So, just quickly, also, I pulled up a few tweets from Twitter from Avalanche fans, just talking about the trades. So, or I think I only got one, but I saw this guy on. His name was Avalanche Forever, but he got liked by Drew Livingstone. So Drew is the producer for Steve Dangle's episodes.
Yeah,
and he got like 70. Oh my God, 77 likes on this. He says, I feel relieved that I never have to watch Tyson Jost play hockey for the Colorado Avalanche ever again. Now, that was a little much for me, but that just goes to show how Colorado Avalanche fans really did not believe in Tyson Jost. So I think they're all pretty excited to see what Nico Sturm can do for them in the playoffs. So anyway, moving on. Let's talk quickly. There's a rumor going around that by Philippe Bernard. So he works for a news coverage company. I don't remember which company he works for, but it's one of the French media places in Montreal. And he says, I would keep an eye on #GoHabsGo, so the Habs and Kings, ahead of the deadline. There were a lot of Montreal scouts, there were Montreal scouts at the Ontario Reign and LA Kings games recently. Obviously, Bergevin and Dano have a connection with Montreal because they both left Montreal this season. And LA will be a buyer since they both have Dustin Brown and Drew Doughty on IR. So that's a ton of cap space cleared up right now for a few acquisitions, and they have a very good prospect pool. So just keep an eye on Montreal and LA. There's something brewing there. I don't know what it is, but just keep an eye out. So moving on. Sorry, what?
Even Philadelphia as well. I mean, something's brewing there as well because I saw Elliot Friedman, or there's a tweet saying that on his podcast, he was saying Provorov's also been struggling, and they're probably going to look to move him. Signing Risto is like the first domino to fall. So there might be a defensive makeover, is what he was saying or hinting at.
I mean, dude, if they want to trade an aging Petrie for Ivan Provorov, I'm all in. But I don't think that's what they want to do. I don't think they'd want to do that. That'd be pretty rough. So another thing I want to talk about, this is something to do with Jack Eichel. So obviously Jack Eichel was recently traded, or not recently, but like recently made his debut for the LA Kings. I had LA on my mind, for the Vegas Golden Knights. And Craig Rive, a former Montreal Canadiens player, I think former Buffalo Sabres player as well, was talking about this on one of his episodes of his podcast, or of one of his talk shows. And he was saying that he really doesn't like Jack Eichel. This is a very specific story, and I don't want to put too much into it. I do trust Craig Rive's opinion because he was a very respected person when he was in Montreal and Buffalo. I think he was captain at one point for either team. So a good guy, like, in and around the hockey world. And this is what he had to say about Jack Eichel. And this is interesting because, especially with all the stuff coming out with him backlashing the Buffalo Sabres fans recently in a post-game interview, he was saying, oh, this is the loudest they've ever been. All it took was 7 years and me leaving for them to finally get in the game. I thought that was uncalled for. I know they were booing him, but you didn't have to say that. Like, you can take the high road. So basically, Craig Rive says this about Jack Eichel. He says he has no class or character. Zero character or class, I should say. Okposo is the opposite. The boys still remember Oki, Okposo, taking the time. And so this is in reference to a night in Buffalo. There was this photo taken about 3 days after Eichel signed his giant contract. So this is when he signed his huge extension, a bunch of money per season. So this was like a Sabres game in Long Island against the Islanders, so Okposo's former team. And the 2008 Junior Sabres happened to be playing in the NHL Youth Cup, and as a team decided to attend the Sabres game with their own money, right? So they all wore their own jerseys because it would have been everyone wearing Eichel, so they wanted to wear their own jerseys just to support the team in general. Okay, so then after the game, the Sabres organization set up a meet and greet with some players and the kids, like the team, right? So they wanted to meet their heroes. Eichel was not in the picture, and the reason he's not in this picture, and Okposo is because he saw the kids, rolled his eyes, and turned the other way. He refused to come past the curtain, so there's a curtain dividing the Buffalo Sabres players and the youth team, right? He refused to come past the curtain that separated them, even as all these 8-year-old kids were chanting his name, and he pretended to be on his phone. And there's more to it, but That's the gist of the story, and it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, okay, you're getting paid like $9 million a season. Is it 9 or 10? I don't even know. But he's getting paid a ton of money, multi-million-dollar contract, just recently signed, and he doesn't even have the time to go just say hi to a bunch of kids, take a picture, and leave. Like Kyle Pozo did that. Why can't you do it? Like if you go with Kyle Pozo, it's not even that bad. I see Kev. I think Kev's joking in chat, but saying I want Eichel's side with this because kids suck. I disagree with you. I think he should have. I think he should have just taken the 2 seconds out of his day instead of taking the time to brood and just stand around there. Like why are you even standing there? Just walk away if you don't want to see them. Just go home. Why are you taking the time to stand behind the curtain pretending to be on your phone? So he's taking the time out of his day to pretend not to care when he could have spent that time that he's wasting anyway to go see the kids. I'm just having trouble with his logic here. Maybe he was tired. Maybe they lost. I don't know. But you're getting paid multi-million-dollar
you never know
per season.
Yeah, but you never know. I just like that story is a bad look on him. But I think I kind of disagree with you on like he could have taken the high route thing. I think he did take the high route for a long time by not saying anything really to Buffalo or the fans when he was trying to get his surgery like for a year and a half. That's what I think. And then like once he comes back, I mean, he didn't do anything but he didn't do anything wrong for Buffalo. Like I mean, he did his best there. He didn't half-ass his games there or anything like that. He played, and then even when he was injured, he actually just played, and then he finally said, "Okay, I can't anymore," so he just didn't. And then, yeah, I mean, like I wouldn't expect. I don't know why the fans came out and booed. I mean, I know there's people cheering for him. Even like he said, I'm happy he acknowledged those people and said there were people cheering, and that's great. And then he went on to say he had some good times in Buffalo or whatever he said. But I'm fine with him calling out the people who booed him, right? Like why does he have to take it, right? Like he already took enough from the franchise and organization as it is. So that's my view on it. I do see what you're saying, Mike, but if I was in if I was in his shoes, I would probably do the same. I don't know. I mean, I don't
think he would, and here's why. So Jack Eichel chose to direct his anger at the fans. I think this is misdirected anger, but he chose to direct his anger at the fans, and the fans chose to direct their anger at him. Now, Jack Eichel should be aware and know that the fans did nothing wrong to him. They weren't the ones that refused his surgery. They weren't the ones that refused his surgery and made his time.
But why were they booing him then?
They're booing him because they didn't like that he left. And now I understand why he'd be upset with that. I do understand why he'd be upset with that. And if he made one little comment, sure. But to call it an entire franchise, like an entire fan base saying they don't care, I think that's too much. Because they did support his career. They're the reason he got his money. If it wasn't for those fans, he wouldn't be paid $9 million a season. You know what I mean? So to call it the fans like that, I think is a little unacceptable. I think he misdirected his anger. I think it would have been much more pointed and a much better comment if he said those angry comments about the franchise, about ownership. If he had directed his anger towards the ownership group and towards everyone involved in him not getting his surgery and saying, look, I don't, and if he had like said why he was upset with the fans, I'd understand too. Like if he's like, look, I don't understand why they're booing me. It makes me upset to see them booing me because I spent a lot of time here in Buffalo. I love the fans. And I just wish it could have ended better. Like if he said something along those lines and then said, I hope they understand that I was forced to leave for my body's sake, like for my own sake. It's my body, my choice. Like I needed the surgery, not only for the rest of my playing career, but for the rest of my life to have a better living situation. And I think if he had said something along those lines where he criticizes the franchise and the owners, criticizes the fans a little bit for booing him within that comment, and then leaves it at that. That's simple. It's easy. It's good PR. I think the fans would then feel bad for booing him, and I'm sure you'd get a lot more fans reaching out and apologizing on Twitter or on Instagram or whatever. Like you'd get a lot more sympathy, whereas with his comments, it just makes even more fans absolutely hate his guts who already didn't like him. Like I already didn't like him that much. I think he's a great hockey player. I really do. It's kind of similar to Matthews, but I think Eichel has an even worse attitude. But I already didn't like him that much because of his attitude. He always had a perceived attitude issue. And then he goes out and does that. And I'm like, okay, thank you for confirming my ideas. Like, thank you for confirming what I already thought about you. You made it easier. So now I really don't like Jack Eichel. I couldn't care less if Vegas does well. So yeah, I feel bad for Patre and Stone because I absolutely love those guys. But with Eichel on your team, it's hard to cheer for you. So
I think Mike just hates Americans clearly.
absolutely
Don't you
not.
think,
I
Punch?
love them. I love Americans. I have cousins in America. What are you guys saying? Why don't I ever hate America?
Yeah. Well, I also think like this
Plus,
happens.
Cole Caulfield's American, so
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if like he's not even a year removed from Buffalo and he's still got some hard feelings. I wouldn't be surprised if like John Tavares probably went through the same thing, though Johnny won't say anything bad because it's John Tavares, but I wouldn't be surprised if like
But
when he
also,
got
he screwed them more than Eichel did.
yeah.
So I think
But
he's
also like
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, go on.
But also like it's a kind of the same situation where he wanted to play for his hometown and then the fans weren't too happy with that. And I think you could have had the same situation. Granted, I wasn't alive in when was it 96 when Patrick Waugh moved from Montreal to Colorado. The fans probably weren't too happy with that either. So at the end of the day, it's mostly the player's choice, and as fans, sometimes we just have to accept that. And you know what? The players might like they might just say something bad. It is what it is. But it also then gives more. It gives the players personality.
I mean, I think there's a difference between personality and just being mean or a bad person.
Being mean is a personality.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
That's what the
kind of
personality
is.
you want to have, fine. But I think there's such a thing as having a fun personality. And
Yeah.
I think the NHL really lacks that. It's either they're mean and horrible or they're just robots or polite.
I think we just need to wait because I wouldn't be surprised if Eichel just has had some hard feelings with Buffalo. I think he's a little bit bitter. I think Buffalo's a little bit bitter, but I think as time goes on, it's gonna slowly fade, and hopefully, the relationship kind of repairs itself.
Yeah, I think it will. I think people will move on pretty quick. It happened in the middle of a season. Buffalo's had a great turnaround. Honestly, I think a lot of fans in Buffalo are going to look back on that and be like, ha, that's the moment we turned it all around. Peyton Krebs scores, Alex Tuch scores, a local guy. They all seem pretty happy to be around. Like, the Buffalo Sabres have been on a really good streak since they traded Jack Eichel. A weight lifted off that team's shoulders. Darlene's looking better and better. Honestly, Peyton Krebs looks good. Alex Tuch looks great. Dylan Cousins, Tage Thompson, you can go on and on. Even Jeff Skinner scoring goals. Can't complain, guys. I think Buffalo is starting to make a turnaround. I don't know how much time we want to spend on Buffalo, but I think we can move on quickly. Do you guys want to talk about Ben Chiarot? Or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
You do want to talk about Ben Chiarot. Okay, cool. So talking about the trade deadline and trade chips and people coming up in the rumor mill, and Ben Chiarot's been cycling around like crazy. Cannon fodder, if you will. He's in every rumor, it seems like, from every news source, especially since Josh Manson moved. So that's one less defenseman on the block. Jacob Chitrin's lost a lot of interest because of the injury. There's some teams that are still interested because it could be a long-term deal because he still has 2 years left after this. But there are teams that were interested in him as a rental or as a help now that are no longer interested, right? Or not as interested as before. Klingberg's probably going to be re-signed, so that leaves kind of Ben Chiarot as the lone guy. Him and Hampus Lindholm kind of hanging out there as the two top dogs in terms of trade deadline acquisitions on defense right now. I saw a report from the Montreal Hockey Now. This could be just a rumor, but it probably is just a rumor. But they reported that the Pittsburgh Penguins are really pushing to see if they can get Ben Chiarot from the Montreal Canadiens. What do you guys think of that, and who could come back the other way?
I do know that Marino is someone they really want to trade, and the reason why I know that is because he's been linked to the Canucks a lot, whether it's for Bessa or Garland. But just that piece of information makes me curious to think of what's happening here. Like, are they just trying to Are they trying to move the style of defenseman around? Like, are they trying to get something? I'm not sure what the plan is here because I've seen their name linked with a lot of different things, like Mott and Chiarot and Garland as well, among other players. So I really don't know which route they're gonna go. I do know that there will be trades, but I'm sure he'd fit there. I'm sure they make it work somehow. We're talking about Chiarot here. Coming back the other way. I know Kapanen is also someone they're kind of looking to move, or is someone who's been in the trade rumors a lot. So that could be a potential suitor with Montreal. Um, I don't know if that would be the full trade, but that could be someone coming back the other way.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm not sure how interested they would be in Kasperi Kapanen, although I know Kent Hughes has been talking about wanting to build a fast team, and Kapanen would fit into that category. He's also got decent size, like he can play a hit every now and then, so that's definitely a possibility. I think maybe they'll be looking towards Samuel Poulin. That could be a prospect they look for out of Pittsburgh. I think he's a former first-round pick, so that could be a guy they're considering as well. But yeah, Ben Chiarot, he's sitting out today's game, so thank you for reminding me. I believe that was Kev in chat, so thank you for the reminder. But yeah, Ben Chiarot's not playing tonight in the Arizona game. Montreal doesn't want to risk injuring the guy. He could be traded today, could be traded tomorrow, could be traded Monday. You never know. But I think it's safe to say Ben Chiarot's last game in Montreal was that overtime win over Philadelphia. Ponch, do you have anything to add on Ben Chiarot?
Not really. I think he'll be a good acquisition for any of these veteran teams just needing some depth. Like Pittsburgh makes sense. Toronto makes sense. Other than that, though, those are the two that I could see Ben Chiarot going to. But yeah, no.
Fair enough. And I'm seeing a lot of tweets, like a lot of people saying, "Oh, don't get Ben Chiarot. He's not good. He's not good." Ben Chiarot's actually a respectably good defenseman. Okay, I've been watching a lot of Habs games recently, and ever since the coaching change, Ben Chiarot's really picked up his game. I think everybody under Ducharme had no idea what to do in the defensive zone. They were playing this weird zone system in their D zone that left everybody confused, wondering who to cover, what to do. And then Martin St. Louis comes in and implements a man-to-man. Now, within a man-to-man, obviously there are going to be mistakes that happen, and you can get beat on the one-on-one, and that does cause room to open up for the other team. So let's say you play against McKinnon, and McKinnon beats Romanov one-on-one, then Ben Chiarot's forced to challenge, and then that leaves Ben Chiarot's guy wide open, right? So that's the flaws of a man-to-man, but it's a lot simpler. So you're seeing like guys like Ben Chiarot thriving, Romanov, even Petrie and Kulak, and everybody on the team's thriving under that. And I think you're getting a better picture as to what Ben Chiarot's capable of. He's had a lot of points. I think he has like 9 points in his last like 15 games or something like that. It's like something ridiculous. He's put in like an overtime winner, a few overtime assists in there as well. Some big goals, big assists for him. So I think he's really showing teams and he's really showcasing his talents. I think he knows that he's on the block, and I think he knows he's going to be moved to a contender. And I think he wants to make an impression that he's ready to play big minutes on a really good team. He's trying to really prove himself as a good defenseman in the league, and I think whoever acquires him is going to be getting Ben Chiarot as at one of his peaks in his career right now. He's playing very good hockey as of late, and I think his confidence is really high. So guys, who do you else would think would be interested in Ben Chiarot? I know I mentioned LA Kings being interested in talks with Montreal. Obviously, Bergevin liking a lot of the guys in Montreal because those are his guys, right? Pittsburgh Penguins, but I heard St. Louis was involved and active in talking to Ben Chiarot. There's a few other teams as well, Colorado, Calgary as well. What do you guys think of those teams? Who do you think would be the biggest interest? I know St. Louis was really buzzing at one point, but who do you guys think would be interested?
So personally, okay, I think that the fit I think you'll probably see for sure is I think we'll actually see Ben Chiarot traded to LA, and the reason why is they're a team that's looking to make the playoffs. I'm sure, honestly, I'm sure they'll make it by now. Like they're pretty safe right now, but on their IR right now, they have so many people on there. They have Sean Walker, Edler, and Doughty. That's half their defense. All of them play heavy minutes, and Ben Chiarot could fill that hole for sure. I don't know how much they would have to give up, like who they even give up, because like I said, they have so many people in the IR. They have, let me just read it out right now. They got Walker, Athanasiou, Edler, Brandon Lemieux, Victor Arvidsson, Mikey Anderson, Doughty, and Dustin Brown. So you're gonna probably see them make a couple trades here, um, just to like round out their team or like get somebody to actually play, because especially on defense, you have some people who haven't even played before, and it's gonna be a little bit worrisome coming closer to playoffs, and they are in this race. They're not for sure in it, but for sure in the playoffs, I mean. But so they're gonna have to secure that spot somehow, and I see them going from Ben Chiarot and securing that spot.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Punch, what other team do you think would be interesting? I know you're a Calgary fan. What kind of Calgary perspective do you have for this one?
We could see him, but I think Calgary might try and find somebody, might try and secure a forward for their bottom six. A team that could use him is Minnesota, though. Minnesota is, they're struggling on the defensive side. They're 22nd in the league with goals against, and they're 24th in the league for the PK. So I think getting somebody to upgrade the bottom two pairs of their defensemen might be their goal, because Dumba's just coming back. They've just been very injured for the last couple weeks. So, and I think even it wasn't last game, but the game before, they played a healthy lineup for the first time. So I think definitely getting Strut in to anchor their blue line might be the goal here.
Oh yeah, that makes sense, because I know they were linked, and I think the original Toffoli trade involved some sort of Chiarot inclusion as well. I see Cinema Talent saying, speaking of the Kings, I think he means Edler, or I think they mean Edler here. So Edler leaves them on the ice today for practice. So that could be maybe a tribute saying, oh, this is your last practice with us. That could be something. Or it could just be that they're so injured that he's their best defenseman in their own opinion, in terms of management and the coaching staff and within the team. But that's something to keep a note of as well. So yeah, Ben Chiarot not playing tonight ahead of the trade deadline coming up within 6 days, or I guess 5 now, because Tuesday's almost over. It's already 6 o'clock. But I'm excited. I'm excited for next Monday. I'm excited to see what's going on. I'm going to be listening in on TSN's Trade Center. I know they're going to have a pretty big cast. I think CJ from the Chris Johnson Show, obviously, and from Sportsnet, but he's going to be at TSN. He's going to be at TSN this year, his first time. So with Pierre LeBrun and all those guys, it's going to be an interesting one to listen to. So I'm going to be listening in on that and probably sending out a lot of tweets or a lot of Discord mentions in our Discord. So feel free to join the Discord. Link is in. Do I have the link in this one? I don't know if I do, actually. Oops. But if someone can send the Discord link from the Fan Connection podcast, that'd be awesome. In the chat, so anybody can join and join in on the NHL discussions during the trade deadline or leading up to it. So just quickly to mention, I know you said that LA's not necessarily in the playoffs. They're actually second in their division.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant like they're just not secure.
Not a sure thing. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, they are killing it right now.
Yeah, because they're 33-20-8, so they have a pretty solid record. They have 74 points in 61 games. They're 6 points up on the Edmonton Oilers, although Edmonton has 2 games in hand. So they're in a pretty good position right now to kind of run away with it. So I know they have a lot of injuries on their blue line. So like you said, if they make a move for a guy like Chiarot or even Lindholm or anybody to solidify their blue line, I think they could really run away with it and just kind of secure a playoff spot and then hope to be healthy come playoff time. And then anything can happen. That's make the playoffs and anything can happen. That's Bergevin's philosophy. I'm done with that philosophy, but have fun with it, LA. I wish you the best of luck, though. I love Philip Danault. I love a lot of the guys on your team, so obviously the best of luck to you. And if you trade for Ben Chiarot, I'll definitely be slightly ruined for you. Let's move on. A lot of rumors around Vancouver Canucks recently. So, Berta, obviously you are the expert on the Canucks here. As a big Canucks fan, you got a tribute from Bruce Boudreau for your birthday. I saw that on TikTok the other day. That was awesome. Bruce Boudreau looks like an awesome guy too, so you guys should be really happy with him as your coach. But a lot of rumors going around saying that Jim Rutherford and the GM, I don't know who the GM is, but
Patrick Galvin.
thank you. So Alvin and Rutherford are both unhappy with the makeup of the team. They, in terms of the fact that they want more speed up front. They want a faster team because right now they feel a little slow. So what do you guys think, or what do you think, especially Berta, could be a fun move? Like, do you guys want to discuss who we think can be moved out of Vancouver? I saw a rumor Ponchi brought up today, perhaps Brock Besser moving out of Vancouver, maybe JT Miller being traded, although that sounds very quiet nowadays, but there's a lot of rumors around Vancouver, and I'm just thinking, guys, Michael Grabner, I think, is a free agent. Michael Grabner for the first line? I mean, I'm down, if you guys are. I'm just kidding. So, Berta, take it away. Who do you think is on the chopping block? Who's the guy they would consider slow and would want to swap out for a new piece, a replacement part, if you will?
Right. So there's actually been a lot of developments since they've kind of come in here. So that was one of the first things they said in the very early stages of when they just came over and took over for the team. And I definitely see that. And I thought that they were playing a little bit slow. But and they need to add some speed, which is like, okay, well, who do you look at on forward who is not as fast? You probably say Besser, but then if you actually look at some game metrics, some nights he's actually the fastest player on the entire ice. So it makes no sense to me. But I mean, like not like even when I watch him play, he seems slow at times. So I just don't understand how that ever happens.
I never thought
but,
Besser was very fast.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't make sense. But anyway, like I would say he is probably the guy that's likely to go. And the reason why is because I know they really love Miller, and they are now adamant on the fact that you're not going to replace Miller. So what they're trying to do is they're going to try and make some space here for Miller based on everything that I've read. And I've seen some rumors for Myers, and I've seen some rumors for Garland and also Besser. But you're going to keep Pedersen, you're going to keep Hughes. And if they want to keep Miller, that's great. So what I think they're going to try, what you're probably going to end up seeing, and I don't think it's going to be at this deadline. I actually think it's going to be in the offseason. But the thing that you'll probably see is they're going to move a forward or two forwards, and they're going to revamp their defense. And whether that means Myers is here or not, that's unclear right now. But the defense is going to be rounded out much better. Ekman Larsson's going to be an anchor there, as in, like, you're not moving him. And he's been okay. Like, he's been pretty decent on the defensive side of things. Offensively, he hasn't been there, but defensively, he's okay. He just makes too much money, but you're not going to move that contract. Hughes, you're not going to move. Everybody else is fair game. You hope that Rathbone comes up and plays bottom pairing minutes next year. And everyone else is fair game. Hamonic, Myers, Brad Hines, Pullman, all those guys. You can probably see some of them moving. Garland and Besser are probably the two forwards that would probably move, and maybe Tyler Mott, because I've seen Tyler Mott linked with a bunch of teams like Toronto and Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh. So those are the big things that you can probably look to see. But again, I honestly think it's not going to be this deadline. No, it's just there's not enough buzz for the players yet. Like, you know how you see some buzz around some players, like, okay, this is more likely to happen. Like, we're talking about Chiarot here, and he's all over the trade rumors and rumor mill. But for these players, it hasn't shown up here yet.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I find Besser reminds me a bit of Suzuki in the way he skates. I don't find like Suzuki has decent speed, but he's not crazy. Like, he doesn't wow you with his speed, but it's more his positioning and his hockey smarts that really put him above the other players. So I think Besser is another one of those guys. You know, he's kind of aware. He knows what to do, knows where to be, and he's got a crazy good shot. So I think if you could complement Besser with more speed, that would be ideal. I don't think trading him. I don't think you win a trade with Besser involved. I don't think you win that trade unless you find a team that's really that is really soured on one of their players who plays with good top end speed. I don't think you can win one of those trades. Like, I don't even know who would be in the market that you could acquire right now. So I definitely agree with you. It should be an off-season move, an off-season decision for management. Let this team that's put themselves, as we're speaking, in the fourth wildcard position. No games in hand really, but only 3 points back of the Golden Knights with 1 game in hand over them. 3 points back of the Edmonton Oilers. Like, that is feasible. So maybe just give this team that got you this far, give them a chance. Let them see how far they can take it. If you miss the playoffs, you miss the playoffs. If you make it, you make it. But wait till the offseason, see what you have, see who performs for you, and then make the decision from there. I think that would be the wisest move, because I think if you make a deal now, you're just acting on instinct, you're acting too prematurely, and you might not get the best return, right?
Right.
Ponch,
I fully agree with you. Yeah, I'm sorry, Ponch, you go on.
Ponch, what do you think of the Canucks? What should they do as a fan of their rivals in the Calgary Flames?
I think now's the time to pick up all these small contracts that could pay off dividends. So Raquel, pick him up. He's 3-ish million, 4-ish million, around that.
Okay.
I think he could be a solid third liner. Take a look at, try and see if you can find these like diamonds in the rough that you can take. You gotta money ball it right now. Take a look at, see what every team's trying to sell off. So I could even see like Vancouver picking up Middleton off San Jose because to help their bottom four, because we've got a couple of young guys coming up, and Middleton's might not be in San Jose's future. Barabanov, he's having a career year. Definitely take a look at him. Jonathan Dahlin, shout out Canucks legend, shouldn't have traded him. But like, look for these small contracts that you could definitely pick up, especially because San Jose is a big seller. Look at your sellers. Arizona is okay because they can hold your garbage, and that's what their whole franchise is based on right now. They just want to pick up scraps. So if you can get them to retain salary for these pieces that you can make a playoff roster, because you're only four or five out of points out of the fourth, and Edmonton's looking kind of, well, they are rocky. So even going in on Tomas Hertl, as much as I don't want to see San Jose give up Tomas Hertl, like, now would be the good time. Even if it does mean giving up your seconds and your thirds for the next couple years. Look for those small roster improvements, because you have a good core, and maybe you just need something new to help Pedersen out, or you need something new to change up the chemistry to Why do we have Daryl Sutter?
I just saw that and I was like, yo, man, just big. Yo, why is he wearing that sweater like that? I was like, where are
you guys looking?
What?
Mike just showed like a picture of Daryl Sutter.
Oh.
Did you not see it? Dude, where's his suit at? He's just wearing like it looks like a pajama shirt.
What?
No, it's a hoodie.
Oh, I see it. What the heck? That's so odd.
I was like, yo, what is he wearing right now? It looked like a pajama shirt.
He's just wearing a flame shirt.
I don't know, man. That looked like a pajama shirt to me.
Dude's big though. Sutter's a farm boy.
Yeah, he looks massive, bro. He makes that shirt look tiny, but still, no. Like, I was just like, oh, that's different. He's not wearing a suit. Sorry, keep going, Punch. I just
real quick, Punch. I actually saw Elliot Friedman say that the Sharks aren't gonna move Hertl though. So like, I don't know what the ideology around that is, but like what you're saying seems way more sound than what the mentality of the Sharks is.
I think it's because the Sharks. I'll finish off on the Canucks, and then we'll move on to Sharks. But
okay,
yeah, look for those small deals, like the
Sorry, just
those league minimum, those AHLers that might turn into something, and give it a couple years, especially because you might just find something that shakes it up, and you might go on a run.
Right. But yeah. And just quickly, I want to switch topics here quickly to the Detroit Red Wings. So I saw a report from Frank Saravalli Sank Faravalli. I'm just kidding. So out of Detroit saying that Steve Yzerman sent out a memo, or not really a memo, but I don't know how do the GMs have a group chat? I don't know, but basically he just told all teams that he is open for business. So the sense is just about everyone. So this is a quote from Saravalli. Just about everyone from the Red Wings roster is available, aside from only Moritz Seider and Lucas Raymond. So that means Tyler Bertuzzi,
Larkin,
Dylan Larkin, even it seems like Zadina. Like the only two guys untouchable are Mo Seider and Lucas Raymond. And among their targets, like Sean Monahan, Tyler Bertuzzi, like, those guys are all trade bait now. Like, so Sean Monahan, obviously from Calgary, they're probably looking to move his contract because he's not great for what they're playing him in. But there's a lot of teams supposedly like interested in what Detroit has to offer. I mean, if Steve Yzerman's saying, yeah, we got Larkin, Bertuzzi, like all these guys available, and not necessarily available, he's not shopping them, right? He's just open for business. Like all he's saying is that call me about anything and I'll listen to you. As long as, you know, you're within reason. If you call me offering me a 7th round pick for Dylan Larkin, I'm probably going to hang up and block you. But I think it seems like Detroit's open for business right now. According to Frank Saravalli, and you know he works for TSN, a pretty trusted reporter there.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Trusted source. So
yeah,
interesting. What do you guys think of that? Who do you think they can move out of Detroit?
I think that's silly. Like at least, like I think you build around those guys. Like I don't think they're super far off from being a playoff team. I think they need to fix their goaltending and have a proper goalie, and that goes a long way in itself. And Seider's gonna get better. Raymond's gonna get better. Larkin is he is a top end center in the league, so I would not even touch Larkin at all. Bertuzzi's maybe the guy I would move out of those players. As to who to get back, I don't know. The thing is, like, I know the Sharks said they're not gonna move Hurdle, but that's somebody that would probably do good there, I think.
Right. I think we just need to wait because Verana's coming back. I don't know if he's come back or he's starting just to get back into the groove of things. Let me check their cap salary or their salary cap because they could just not move anybody and that'd be fine because they could just not move anybody because Bertuzzi, I like the core of Nedeljkovic, Bertuzzi.
I don't think they believe in Nedeljkovic anymore.
I don't like Nedeljkovic either. Yeah, I don't know. He's not.
He's had a terrible season this year.
Did you guys see what he did over the weekend?
Bro, the fact that you let in 7 goals against the Arizona Coyotes is enough for me. Like, you're done. You're not my goalie. Get out of here. I don't want you. That's it. That's all I needed to see. Nedeljkovic and Mrazek, 2 former Carolina goalies, both having terrible seasons. It's almost like as soon as you take them away from the best defense core or one of the best defense cores in the league, they're not actually that good. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Nedeljkovic had what? But then, one good season? Mrazek had a few good seasons.
But he's also 26.
Exactly.
And
he's 26.
And the starter's Thomas Greiss. So I'd wait. Because
but he's 26. Like this is his prime right now.
It should be, but he's also on Detroit. Detroit's not playing very well in general.
Yes, but this bad? Like even like Montembeault wasn't that bad. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that argument goes a ways, but it's you. I don't think you can entirely say that's the main reason. Like I agree with it in some standpoints, but yeah, he has not been playing good, right? Like he's one of the reasons why they are playing bad, right? Like I get like it all adds in together. Like okay, like the defense isn't playing the greatest, but He is probably it's kind of like the Ristolainen argument, right? Like we talk about the environment, but he was one of the reasons why they were bad, right? That's the way I see it. I see it was more of the Carolina Hurricanes playing better, and that improved his stats a lot more. Like I just see Nedeljkovic is more of a 1B type goalie, right? Like
Yeah.
he's good, but it's like you don't want him to be your number one clear cut starter. Just like the Leafs are, we should actually probably mention them quickly, but the Leafs are also looking to get like a long term goalie now because they know Campbell isn't what they are looking for, right?
Yeah,
So
and to build off that, like McSawtrap in chat, a Leafs fan, or sorry, Minecraft Sawtrap, saying it's almost not fair. You know, you expect Jack Campbell to jump from 20 to 30 games a season, maybe 40 if injuries come up, but from that to like a full 60 to 70 game season, like that's just not fair. You can't expect a backup goalie to go from playing backup minutes to playing almost every game other than the back-to-backs, right? Because Mrazek's been so bad. They've overused Campbell for almost every single game this season. So Campbell's, I mean, obviously hurt too, but probably exhausted. You know, it's like Carey Price. He went through at one point he was out with an injury, but it wasn't really like a full-on injury. Like it wasn't like a bruise or a bone, or it was literal fatigue. Like he was out with chronic fatigue because of how much he played in Montreal because they had no one else to play. And because if they didn't put Carey Price in net, the team was absolute garbage because they were masking how bad they were with Carey Price, right?
Right.
So it's like putting cream over a zit. Like you're just hiding the zit, but it's still there. You know, the Canadians sucked, but they put Carey Price over it, so you couldn't tell. You know what I mean?
But Nedeljkovic isn't as bad as we're making him out to seem. He still has a 900 save percentage. There are worse goalies in the league, and I think it's a little bit of both. He's having a rough season because he's not in front of the Carolina defense, but also he's like Detroit isn't a good team.
So you're saying it's a bit more of recency bias?
I think it might be a little bit of both. Because if we move Nedeljkovic to another team, we might see better numbers. And a 900 save percentage isn't elite, but it's not as bad as we're making it out to seem.
I don't know, because I think in chat you've seen Spire from Naruto make a good point. Freddie Anderson goes from Toronto. He was already a good goalie in Toronto. Goes to Carolina and looks like a Vezina winner, like easily. He looks like one of the best goalies in the league. I don't know, guys. I think Carolina made some goalies look really, really good, and then they're like, okay, we know he's not that great. Let's give him away to someone else. We'll go sign another goalie, make them look even better. Like Carolina could easily just recycle goalies over and over again if they really wanted to, because it seems like every goalie they bring in, they make better. You know, it just seems to be the way they are. Like they have such a good defensive system and a good core that any goalie that comes in, as long as they're like an NHL caliber goalie, they're able to put up really good numbers for them. So I think Nedeljkovic was inflated by Carolina, because if you remember, he was struggling to make the lineup for quite a while. Then he finally does, goes on a decent run, and then they don't keep him. So clearly they just felt like it was just a little run in his career. They didn't feel like he would last that long as an NHL caliber goalie. They traded him for, I think, a third or a second. I think it was a third round pick to Detroit. Everyone's like, oh, steal. I mean, he has a 900 save percentage. That's not good. Like that's okay. I know he's on a losing team, but like you're seeing Wedgwood hold Arizona into games. Arizona got outshot like 40 something to 17 and 1 because Scott Wedgwood is just like saving everything. So I do think that I just think that I think Nedeljkovic was a little inflated in terms of his value by Carolina's defense. I think Yzerman thought that he could help them, and you know he thought that he could be good for them because he was young, but I think he just kind of misread the situation, which is a rare occasion for Yzerman, but I don't think Nedeljkovic is necessarily your starting caliber goalie.
Yes.
And just to
but he's also
Sorry, go ahead.
But looking at his deal right now, he's signed for 2 more years at $3 million. So if it doesn't work out, they're not in the worst situation. And I could I can see a situation where there are worse places to be. You could also be paying $5 million for eight um an 8.97 goalie.
Right. But that's why I think that he's a better 1B, right? Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, he has a 901, which doesn't sound horrible, but dude, he's like 51st on save percentages right now out of all
Mhm.
goalies. So that's like obviously not starter numbers.
It's
But that
low
being
end backup
said,
numbers.
yeah. So if he's playing
Mhm.
behind, maybe well also less games played. Like he's played 42 games. I don't know if he's played that many games before, but in a season. Uh if he's a 1B on some team, I'm sure he'd be much more valuable than some other teams 1B goalie. Like the Canucks aren't very happy with Halak right now, right? I mean
Mhm.
he's he's blown quite a few games here. He would be fine. He would be fine, but actually just interesting enough though, as I'm looking at some of these names here in this save percentage ranking, you got Blackwood, Georgiev, and you have Lankinen. And all these guys are below Nedeljkovic. And all of these guys are three guys here that are rumored to be going to Toronto. So these
Yeah.
are all, yeah, these are three players that are just like, okay, I guess Toronto sees them as younger goalies that have a potential long-term fit, and you won't have to give up too much for them just because of how low like their save percent or the performance is, right? Blackwood hasn't been working out with the Devils. Georgiev, obviously, you have no chance being a starter in New York, right? With Shesterkin being your guy and being like a Vezina goalie, and then you have Lankinen. You're not gonna outplay Fleury, right? Fleury's gonna be your guy. So I didn't realize their save percentage was this low. I didn't know they were playing this poorly. Which when I
Mhm.
originally read the report that they're by Elliott that he was saying Toronto's looking to get a long-term goalie, make a splash here, and named those three guys, I thought initially, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But then again, I'm just like, okay, they're actually not that much better than Campbell. Like before he got to Toronto, of course, is what I'm saying. Like they're all playing backup numbers. Like who's the other goalie? Mrazek? Yeah, they're not much better than Mrazek is, right? Like that's
Mhm.
I thought they would have targeted somebody else, but who knows? Blackwood I think has the most potential of all those guys. What do
Yeah,
you guys think?
I think Blackwood's having a really off season. Like last year, everyone was talking about how he's one
Yeah.
of the best goalies in the league because he was playing so well on a bad Devils team, right? I think this is just the New Jersey Devils effect right now. You saw it with
Mhm.
you saw it with Corey Schneider. He comes in, he's playing insane for the New Jersey Devils, right? But
Mhm.
after a certain amount of time, the wheels fall off the wagon, guys. You can't just ride this guy and not make the playoffs for so long. Like they could have shipped off Corey Schneider for so many assets at any
Mhm.
point in
Yeah.
time, but they kept holding on, saying, "Oh, we're gonna get good. We're gonna get good. We're gonna get good with him." But they never did. And then when they finally were ready to think they were good enough, his body had enough. He couldn't do it anymore. And I think Mackenzie Blackwood is in a very similar situation. You know, he was very good for quite a few years in a row, and now he's at the point where I think he's just tired. I think he needs to change his scenery or
Mhm.
something. But as a Leaf perspective, I'm not a Leafs fan, but coming from a
I thought you were
Leafs
gonna say that.
no, I
Mhm.
was almost said as a Leafs perspective, but I meant more coming from a Leafs perspective or looking at it through their lens. Because I was listening to the Kipper show, the Real Kipper and Bourne show or something. I think that's what it's called on Sportsnet. And they were talking about how the Leafs shouldn't necessarily go after a goalie like that. And here's why. And I do kind of agree with them in this sense. Is what's the point in Kyle Dubas giving up a bunch of assets, let's say a first round pick or a second round pick, and Peter Mrazek, or a first and
Probably gonna be
Mrazek,
Nylander actually. That's what I've
or
heard. That,
Nylander
yeah.
for Mackenzie Blackwood, right? Let's say they do
Mhm.
that for Blackwood. And they're like, oh, he's going to be our long term solution. Well, let's say they go after him and he doesn't work. And he's struggling right now. So this is basically Dubas just throwing paint on a wall or dirt at a wall and hoping it sticks, right? Like he's just kind of
Mhm.
shuffling for the sake of shuffling. I think you might see the Leafs, unless teams really drop their asking price, because I don't think he's going to move Nylander. I don't see him ever moving one of the big four because those are his guys. If he moves those guys, he's admitting he's wrong. And I don't think he will. So I don't see him going after any of those goalies. I think he's just going to stand pat. They're letting Shalgren play the next game. They're going to see what they have in Shalgren. And if Shalgren puts up above a 905 or above a 900 and they win, they're going to stand pat. I'm calling it now. If Shalgren has above a 900, they're not moving. They're sticking with Shalgren until Campbell's back, and they're going to run Campbell, Shalgren, Mrazek. That's going to be their trio, and they're going to wait till the offseason because there's no way he gives up William Nylander for like a 50-50 chance that Blackwood recovers or a 50-50 chance that Lankinen recovers. Lankinen is at a limited time in the NHL too. So it's not a sure thing unless they get Fleury for a first. And even then, like, is that really the deal you want to make? Fleury's not your long-term solution, right? So there's such a big dilemma for Toronto. It almost just doesn't seem worth it. Like, they've put themselves in a position based off their off season and based on their bets they made on their goaltending. They can't win this year, right?
I think
yeah, go Punch. I'll say after.
Yeah. Okay. I'd want to see them go on with maybe some of the people that have like a 902, 903, because these are still solid names. I'd take Vejmelka, even though there's somebody on the podcast, no names, that's anti-Vejmelka.
We already apologized to Vejmelka. We already apologized. Don't bring this back up. We already apologized.
There's beef.
I had nothing against Vejmelka and Wedgwood. They've honestly played well lately, so I take it back.
But those two would definitely be solid picks because Arizona has they're still let's put it this way. They're busy rebuilding their stadium before they're rebuilding their team. So definitely those two would be a solid pickup. And I think I'd rather see Vejmelka in compared to Campbell because he's playing, or sorry, not Campbell. We love Jack Campbell. This is the Jack Campbell show. I'd rather see him in over Mrazek because even on a subpar Arizona squad, they're going. He has a 905, and I think that could be a little bit better with the core in front of him. Even Scott Wedgwood. Wedgwood has a 906, or sorry, a 907. So I'd take the bet on one of these two over Mrazek. And who's their third?
Mike said it best. I don't know what his name is properly. What how do you say it, Mike? Shulgin.
Shalgren. It's spelled K-L-L-G-R-E-N, I think, but I think it's Shalgren.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's from Europe.
Yeah. And even Hutchinson's. Does that mean Hutchinson's just in the AHL?
Oh, he's not even considered. Don't even bring up his name. They're not even going to call him up. I think
I see those two making a better impact than Mrazek, so I don't see why they don't go out and try to snag one of those two. And even if, like, Vejmelka, I'm going to double check his salary, but he's not on... Even Wedgwood and Vejmelka are both on solid contracts that you could hold on to for a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, I get what you're saying with the Vejmelka and all these goalies playing in the NHL right now, but the thing is, like, all the guys we were listing are all fringe NHL goalies. Mm-hmm. Like, Wedgwood's not the starter on any other team. Like, maybe Montreal right now he'd be the starter because Jake Allen and Price are both out, right? Him and Monta will be fighting out for the starter position. So we're listing a bunch of guys who are backup caliber goalies. Let's be honest. Like, the way they're playing, they're not starting. They're not starter goalies. So Toronto's just throwing a bunch of assets at these guys and hoping, praying that it fits, hoping that they get above 900 save percentage because they haven't had a goalie with an above 900 save percentage since the new year. It's a fact. They haven't had above a 900 save percentage in terms of their goaltending stats, save percentage wise, since the new year. That's a problem. It's March. It's March, guys. Like, it should have fixed itself by now. It hasn't. Clearly, Mrazek's not the guy. They clearly gave up on him. They're trying Shalgren. But what's the point in Dubas giving up a bunch of assets? I feel like I'm on repeat here, but what's the point in Dubas giving a bunch of assets to guys that aren't going to do anything for you? Like, you're just throwing dirt at a wall, mud at a wall, whatever you want to call it, paint at a wall, whatever, and hoping you turn it into art. Like, is that really what you want to do? Because they've already done that with Foligno. It didn't work last year. Or not last year, but the year before. They did that with Foligno. They did it with a bunch of guys like that, and it hasn't worked. I don't know if it's... I don't know.
Yeah.
Go for
Yeah. I think I'd go a combination of defense and goaltending. See if, like, you're not affording Fleury is going to be hard because Fleury still makes 7 mil as somebody that blew a 3-1 lead against the San Jose Sharks. No big deal. Got outplayed by Martin Jones. Also no big deal. But it's going to be harder to fit him into your cap. So the reason why I would go Carell over Martin Jones, or sorry, not Martin. Oh, I would go Carell over Martin Jones, but Carell over Fleury is because Carell makes 8K or 800K.
Wait, who?
Carell, Vijmelka.
Right. Sorry.
So it'll be easier to fit him in to your cap, and he's on an ELC. He's still on an ELC, so you're not in that big cap crunch, struggling to sort players out and try to move players. That way, you could also go for somebody like Hampus Lindholm, who's also on the move.
Mhm.
So, and I think Vejmelka's marginally better than Mrazek. I think he's better than Mrazek. I don't think he's better than Campbell. So, move Mrazek to your third, Vejmelka to your second, upgrade your defense, and grab somebody like, yeah, exactly, Giordano, Klingberg, or Lindholm, and then you might see a difference. You might see a difference there.
Well, at the end of the day, though, the way I see it is, again, yeah, we are talking about a bunch of fringe starters or fringe NHL goalies, and I know the Leafs have this problem, but the Oilers also have this problem, and yeah, you want a starter goalie, right? Like, you want a bona fide top tier starter goalie, and that can make your team go a very long way, right? Like, you can go very far with a good goalie. We've seen it many years in a row with any goal. I don't know the Price. We always mention Price, but even Vasilevsky in steal games or just whatever goalie, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, Gibson too. But those goalies are also not really available. So I guess if we're looking at these GMs' mindset, it's like, what can you even do as a substitute? I honestly think in recent time, the only top tier goalie that's been on the market has been Markstrom, and you saw a lot of teams. Yeah, well, Fleury as well, but um, I don't know. Markstrom is very very solid. He is like I mean Fleury as well. Yeah, that's fine, but he's still there isn't a lot of goalies that have been on the market like that in a very long time. And I know a lot of teams went for Markstrom. I know that the Oilers went for Markstrom, but now what, right? Like what are you gonna do now if these goalies aren't on the market? Like what can you do? They're not especially these teams that have them. They're not gonna give them up because they're more than likely gonna want to contend. Like I can't think of a really top tier starter goalie that's on a team that's not doing good, right?
Fleury.
I mean Fleury, but also
But
like
he's not
they
available,
want,
really.
yeah, and they also want a long term solution. And you were saying as well that you don't know that's going to be a long term solution, right? Like, is that really what you want? And also maybe Gibson, but Gibson's numbers has also dropped. I know Anaheim's numbers have dropped
Well, he's
too,
getting
but
older too. Like,
yeah, exactly,
yeah,
right?
he's not in
So
his prime anymore. Probably tired too.
yeah,
He's probably worn out. Honestly, he needs a break.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly, and like yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say Fleury is also like 37 as well, right? Like he's also much older. That's why I think Markstrom was the only goalie in these last recent years who have been like that. That's it, right? Like
And
you
he was
haven't
a
seen a
free
lot of
agent
these goalies
signing.
move. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Like the Leafs
Well,
honestly should have, like, instead of signing Mrazek, maybe ship off ship off Kerfoot and then sign Markstrom to that contract.
mhm.
But even then, I don't know if Markstrom would help you. I do think the Leafs' biggest problem is their defense. I still think that.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think
Yeah.
Mrazek, although Mrazek's been out of his net for a lot of goals, but I don't think Mrazek or Shalgren or Campbell play nearly as bad as they have in the new year if it wasn't for the Leafs' defense. So
Yeah.
I think they do need to improve their defense. I see a lot of people in chat saying, "Oh, they should not go after Chiarot. Don't go after Chiarot." I saw Spider-Man from Naruto say it'd be like Chiarot to the Leafs would be like Brandon Manning to the Oilers, because if you remember, Brandon Manning injured Connor McDavid in his rookie season. No, because I understand you're saying that Chiarot was the one who pushed Perry or no, pushed John Tavares into Perry's knee. But like that's a fluke, guys. Like he made a hit in the playoffs. He's not. How's he supposed to know that JT's head would end up colliding with Perry's knee? Like that's clearly not. It's just a regular hit in a playoff game. You know what I mean? Like it's not. It's nothing that John Tavares would have any bad blood with over Ben Chiarot. So if that trade were to happen, it wouldn't be the same as Brandon Manning driving Connor McDavid into the boards when he's already on the ground. You know, and I'm pretty sure Brandon Manning did go to the Oilers in the end anyway. So there is that as well. So it could still happen. But I'm just saying, I don't equate the two because I don't think there's any bad blood between Chiarot and Tavares because I think everyone involved acknowledges it was a freak accident that honestly no one could have foreseen. It definitely woke the Leafs up for the next couple games because they were on fire after that. But without Tavares, it clearly hurt them, obviously. I'm not saying it didn't, but it's one of those situations that I don't think anyone has any bad blood over. Like, it's just a fluke, a freak accident. It sucks that Tavares got injured. No one wants to see that. I remember seeing that on TV, and I thought I was going to be sick. Like that was hard to watch. You know, I don't want to bring it up.
Really bad.
It's, like thinking about it's making me not feel well. So it's just I don't think it's something that, for example, Kyle Dubas or anybody on the Leafs team would even think about if Ben Chiarot were joining the team. I think the mentality would be, oh sweet, we're getting a guy that everyone hates playing against, and now he's on our team. We don't have to deal with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be the mentality rather than the negative mindset. So I think we can end it off here. Before we do though, before we transition into the final segment where we try to predict the winners of each game tonight, we got a question from Cheese Whiz. So Cheese Whiz, I'm sorry, I hope you're still here. It's been a while since you asked, but Cheese Whiz asked, "Do crabs think fish can fly?" What do you guys think?
I already answered him. Well, actually, no, I didn't answer him. I gave I kind of added on to it. I said I think that they probably think dolphins going to space. That's what I think.
Okay.
Right? Would space be like? Okay, I'm not going on about this. You know, I just sound dumb.
Where did they think like turtles go then? If crabs think fish fly, do you think what are turtles? Do turtles just do what they want? They go anywhere.
They go on land and in the water.
Yeah, they're all terrain.
But so are crabs. They can go on the land, can't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can.
So no.
I guess they don't think fish can fly. Maybe fish think crabs can fly because they're
Do you think crabs know that they swim?
That's a good question. Maybe they think they just float. You know,
I think they just float too. Yeah.
All right. Now moving on to tonight's matchups. Let's start with the biggest one: the Battle of the Titans, the Brawl of Champions, the Clash of the Titans. The Arizona Coyotes against the Montreal.
Okay.
Of course it is. It's the battle of the last place teams. Both have been on a tear.
We should actually, you know what? We should just keep track of our overall records throughout the rest of the hockey season. I think that's what we should do.
Because I know I was bragging a lot about Montreal being the hottest team in the NHL the other week, but Arizona right now is actually the hottest team in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
They are finding ways to win games.
Yeah, they are.
I picked up Scott Wedgwood the other day in fantasy, so we're hoping for a shutout.
Warning you. I see Mike Sawchap saying he's also all terrain, but and just a brief note on an underrated player, Clayton Keller's a point per game.
Yeah, he's been killing it. He's probably their bright spot. And a
+3.
Yeah, Cross had a Hattie the other day too.
Yep, yeah, Cross is doing
well. He's been killing it.
But Keller's on pace to have a 30-goal season, 58 points in 59 games. So everyone's saying he's washed and his contract not working out. He's looking pretty good. And also, I think the Arizona Coyotes should trade Scott Wedgwood for Peter Mrazek and also get a pick in that trade because the Leafs are free on cap space. And I think they should turn Peter Mrazek into a good player again, just like they did with Nick Ritchie, and make the Leafs look stupid. So I think the Arizona Coyotes do have something a brewing with Scott Wedgwood or Vejmelka. But anyway, who do you guys have winning tonight's game? I'm honestly, I hate to root against my own team. Just kidding. I'm voting Montreal. I know Ben Chiarot's not playing. The lines look scary, but I have faith in Montreal for some reason.
All right, I wrote you down for Montreal, and I'm going to say Arizona.
Fair enough. Paunchy?
I've got the Desert Dogs. We're going Arizona.
All right.
All
All
right.
right. Dallas Stars against Toronto Maple Leafs. Shalgren's playing his first NHL game. I'm saying the Leafs win. I'm saying Shalgren puts up a 9-12 at least. So put a greater than sign in front of the 9-12 or greater than or equal to sign.
I am also going to go with the Leafs. I think they're going to try and come out really, really strong here because they don't have Matthews, and they're going to try and do their best and compensate for that loss there.
Nice.
I've got the Stars because I've got Ottinger, and Ottinger's gonna shut him down.
Okay. Moving on, the Anaheim Ducks at the New York Rangers. I think it's safe to say the Rangers should have this one in the bag.
I'm actually going to say the Ducks are going to win this one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've got the Rangers, but they need to pick it up on defense. Like the other day, on fantasy, I saw Adam Fox had 2 assists, and I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna do really well. He was also a -4 on D. So like, what are you doing, Rangers? Pick it up. But I've got the Rangers.
Fair enough. This is a big night for hockey. Holy. New York Islanders versus Capitals. I'm going with Islanders.
Okay. Islanders Capitals, that's what it was. I'm going to go with the Islanders as well.
I'm gonna go with the Capitals.
All right. Pittsburgh at Nashville. I'm going with Pittsburgh. Oh, no, sorry. Nashville.
I'm going with Pittsburgh.
I'm going Nashville on this
I'm
one.
going with Nashville.
All right. Vegas, Winnipeg. I'm going with Vegas. Snap that losing streak, baby.
You're going with Vegas?
As much as I just said I don't like Jack Eichel anymore, I'm still voting for Vegas. Because I hate Winnipeg even more. So, it's fine. Not the city, the team.
I think the Jets are going to win.
To clarify that, I don't have a vendetta against the city of Winnipeg. It's just the team.
I've got the Jets need a fan in the corner, and I will be your fan.
Ooh,
Kyle Connor.
I'm just kidding. All right, Boston Bruins versus Chicago Blackhawks. I'm going with the Bruins all day. They've been red hot lately. So Bruins.
I'm going to go with the Blue Jackets. They've also been doing pretty decent recently.
Sorry, what were the teams again?
And then next up is the Detroit.
Oh, Ponches has to pick, yeah.
What were the teams again?
It was Blue Jack. Oh wait, did you say Blue Jackets or Blackhawks?
I heard like Blue Jackets, Hawks, and another team.
Okay, well the actual game is Bruins and Blackhawks. That's the actual game.
Okay.
I thought Mike said Blue Jackets for some reason.
Wait, no, I said Detroit Red Wings and Edmonton Oilers.
What?
No. Wait, what? Sorry, my dad came downstairs. I got confused.
I've got the Bruins.
Oh, Bruins at Blackhawks. I'm going Bruins.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going Bruins as well.
Okay. Red Wings versus Oilers.
Red Wings.
Red Wings.
Oilers. Oh my God, guys, the Red Wings are terrible lately. No. All right, Devils versus Canucks. I'm going Canucks. I don't think the Devils have it in them.
I'm going Canucks as well.
I'm going with the best Hughes brother, Jack Hughes.
Oh Jesus! All right, Colorado versus LA. I'm going with LA tonight. Feeling LA. No, wait, no, they're all injured. Colorado. Sorry, Colorado. They're all injured. I forgot.
I'm going Colorado as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a Hattie here. We'll go for Colorado.
Right. And then last but not least, the Florida Panthers against the San Jose Sharks. I think I would be betting against all odds, so I'm going to go with the Florida Panthers if I went the other way.
I'm going Panthers as well.
You already know.
He's already got the Sharks jersey.
I've got the Couture sticker.
Oh,
it's Sharks.
All right.
That's
well,
fair.
I wrote them down, and they're pretty. It's pretty different. All of our picks here. So we'll come back. We'll see what it is on Thursday, and I mean, this will all mean nothing anyway, but it'll be good to keep track, maybe.
That was really glib.
For those of you in chat, if you wanted to get your picks in for tonight's game, send them now. Let them be heard. Or send them in the Discord after the fact. Post just a list of yours. And that way, and then keep track of who won. And we can keep track of our records and see who won for today's stream. So thank you everyone for stopping by. For those of you on Twitch, stick around. We will be doing a raid as always to support our community because we love you all and we want to make you all feel welcome. So we'll give a nice raid out to one of our members of the community, whoever's live tonight. But for those of you listening on any other platform, that's going to do it for today. Feel free to check out our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Twitch, and YouTube as The Fan Connection. To tune in live on Twitch, look up Some Lazy Guy 09 to tune in live and ask us any questions that you might have. If you are unable to do so every Tuesday and Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we completely understand. So you can reach out to us through social media on TikTok, Twitter. You can find us on YouTube. Leave a comment in this comment section, and we'll definitely get to your questions either within that comment section or address it on the podcast. So we appreciate all your support as always, and we'll see you all again soon.